He was at Munson's the other day. He was like all the way at the end of the inside, and he like waved at me. I'm like, who is that?
I was like, I'm not that far away.
No, you were like a blur.
We got to get that checked out.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Good for Business podcast. My name is Colin Krieger, and our special guest today is Brayden Sansing. Brayden is, I like to call him a studio engineer at Catfish Alley Studios, but he's so much more than that. And he is leaving town on me to head out west, so I figured I'd jump in and get him on the interview. Welcome to the show.
What's up? How you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. So you've edited all 40 episodes up till today.
Yeah.
And you just revealed to me that you kind of hard of hearing sometimes.
I am actually.
Which is awesome for somebody who's been editing.
It
explains a lot. It really explains a lot on the show that you haven't heard on it. So tell people a little bit about yourself. Where you grew up here in town, or what do you do?
Yeah. So I grew up in Greenville till I was 3, and then we moved here in Columbus when I was 3, of course. And since then, I've been a Columbus resident, and it's been good.
Where'd you go to school here?
New Hope.
Okay, and what was your, we'll go back to talking about jobs. What was your first job?
My first job was actually pressure washing with David Martin.
Yeah.
I used to get on a lot of roofs with him, a lot of sweaty summers, and it was a lot of fun.
You may have done my roof, because David, he does soft washing, is what I call it, cleaning the, I don't know if people know, but that black stuff on your roof is like actually like bacteria, right? Is it algae or it's bacteria?
Yeah.
So the black stuff that's usually on one side of your roof is that, and he comes through, soft washes it, cleans it, and it makes the roof more supple and beautiful. It looks good. He might have done 30, 40 houses for me and my clients.
Okay, yeah. So I've ingested so much bleach, dude.
That's good for you. Toughens you up.
Yeah, it does. It helps.
I've heard it affects your hearing too, but
yeah,
I'm not going to get into that.
I think that's the water.
Yeah, and so now tell everybody what you do here at Catfish Alley Studios and other places.
So I'm mainly the arena studios, and I get hired out by Josh to do production and stuff. And so I'll have an artist come in and rent the studio out, and I'll basically record, mix, and master it, and just basically be a one-stop shop for them. And also now I'm leaving to Los Angeles, but before I was teaching lessons as well as that, but and also editing podcast.
Yeah. So if somebody comes in here and they were just they can just sing or just want to play lead guitar, you play all the backup instruments?
Yeah. I did a whole album like that. I did hire a guitar player because I knew I was going to overthink it. My friend Jake Browning, he did the country stuff, and I can play guitar, but sometimes when it comes to country, I overthink it, so I had to hire him out. But I did a whole album like that where he came in. And I did all the instruments except for guitar and bass and acoustic. And all the drums I did and everything, all the just random production stuff. And he came in at the end of me recording every single song. We did 10 songs and did a vocal session for an hour. And we got the song done just like that. The 10 songs was my first album deal, actually, this year in March. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So let's start on how do you learn or start playing instruments? How did that come up?
So I started learning. My dad played guitar in a Christian band in Greenville. So I kind of grew up seeing him play. And then I started playing in church. Actually, that's where I met Josh, was at New Journey. That's where our journey started, was that I used to work for New Journey as a worship leader and just kind of helping with the youth and stuff. I used to play in worship nights and stuff. And I would work alongside as an intern with Josh. And now we're here. Catfish Alley, still working together. But
so is that how you learned to play guitar? Every instrument?
I learned by ear.
Your dad taught you on the piano?
Well, he didn't. Me and him, like, he could not teach me stuff. We argued too much in a good way. But I mainly learned by ear. I did get some lessons, but it was just about chords and stuff. But the stuff I really learned how to play was by ear.
Can you read music?
I can read chords.
You can read chords.
Yeah,
okay.
like, the Christian, they'll have like that G chord, C chord, but I can't read like notes. I play it by ear.
I'm always shocked at how many people, I've seen several big, huge guitar players that can't read music. And I heard they were interviewing Les Claypool from Primus, and Les Claypool can read and write music, but he was talking about his guitar player couldn't. And this guy's sold millions of albums and stuff, and he's like, we have to sit down and get somebody else to transcribe it. And he was talking about being an independent recording, and he's like, it's just another cost of having to do it because a lot of people want to learn how to play his music. And he's like, he can do it, but he's like, my guitar player couldn't do it. And I was started thinking, like, how many guys are like that? And I started looking into it, and I'm like, I keep seeing these huge names pop up. I'm like, oh, they can't read music. And I'm at the Golden Triangle Theater, and like almost every kid in the plays and musicals I'm in can read the music.
Yeah.
So there was one song for Hairspray the musical, and I'm like, I can't find a recording of it anywhere. It's not in the movie. And then like they do it, and I have a part in it. And I'm like, I'm the second line, and I'm like, I've never heard. I don't even know how to look at the beat on this thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like I tried to figure it out, and I'm like, oh. And in hindsight, I didn't realize. One of them told me afterwards. He's like, now you can take your phone and scroll it over the music, and you could find an app that'll like try to sing it for you. I'm like, dear Lord, future's here.
I feel like there's two ways to kind of like know music is with your brain and with your heart, and I'm like sort of in the middle, I guess. I try to use a lot more of my heart because I know that's really what moves people in a live setting and just songwriting and stuff. I do a lot of songwriting, but I feel like sometimes my brain has to shut off in order for me to actually make music that tries to, move people. But in some other cases, I'll have to turn my brain on and get to like the fancy stuff just to make it production-wise, to make it sound good.
Yeah. Well, the first time I became aware, right before I came here, was you recorded some stuff at Market Street 2 years ago, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and it was rocking, and I liked how the camera was going right. It was either there at Caledonia days, and I was like, man, this is cool. And I scrolled past it 5 or 6 times because I just thought, I was like, this is a commercial from some band or somebody I don't know. And then I eventually stopped. I'm like, oh, that's here in town, like because it looked real professional, and the camera's kind of moving off of you. I was like, man, this is groovy stuff.
Yeah, that was Samson Dees. He's the guy. I always like when I hire or perform, I count the filmer as a band member, because I got to feed all the mouths that in my band, right? And the filmer is one of them because you got to get content, just like what you're doing here. You got to, and nowadays you got to be on social media. But
yeah. So, what was the first time outside of the church you started playing live places?
Yeah, it was. I feel like it was with Mason Honnell.
Okay.
Because he's actually one of my mentors.
Well, go over his story a little. Or you with him? We interviewed him. In September, I think, of last year when he had his new album coming out. But I know he's on the road. Is he on the road still?
I think so, yeah.
He was headed to Texas or something last time.
He does a lot of festivals with his wife. She does painting and sometimes plays with him and plays her own shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, we met, this funny story. He's going to hate me for saying this, but he dated my sister in middle school. And they're like the same age. And then he ended up going to the same college as her. And so then he did a mentee mentor program, and I signed up and I got him. And then we went to the studio and I got to do a recording session with him. I forgot what we recorded, but it was one of those things where this was my first time in a professional studio. It was pretty cool, and he allowed that to happen. And since then I was playing gigs with him. My first paid gig was with him in the Delta. I think Trisha Walker put on a show over there, and we just did an acoustic. We ended up opening up for Kingfish.
Yeah.
Which kind of, resolves into that's how I started writing my own stuff and recording my own stuff. Because right after the Kingfish show, I was so inspired that I wrote and recorded my first song, Goodbye, that I put out in 2021, I think. But if it weren't for Mason, I feel like I wouldn't be as far along. He helped me, see how a true musician works on the road and gets gigs, and he's very honest, and he shaped the way I view a lot of things in a good way, business-wise.
Well, that's great. I'm going to be jumping back and forth, old and new all the time. Where were you I saw you in New York and then Nashville. So
oh, yeah.
Was that for music or just for fun or what?
So it was for fun. New York was we spent 48 hours. I had no sleep that whole trip pretty much.
I could tell because I think you went 30 places in 48 hours.
Yeah, yeah. And also I was editing a video for a client of mine, and they wanted to post the day of that I left for New York, so I stayed up all night working on that, and I did not sleep until I spent I was awake for about 25 hours, 26 hours, but I was I'm in New York, I'm not just gonna go to sleep,
Yeah.
I couldn't even sleep on the plane, but we went around just everywhere pretty much, and it was a lot of fun. I spent a week in New York one time, and it was just a good experience. We did a mission trip. I got to go into some of the masses, like the Muslim mass.
Yeah.
Or mosque. Is that what you said?
Mosque.
But yeah, we did that. But this time we went into the St. Patrick's Cathedral.
Oh, wow.
And we went in there. We met this girl named Karen. And she's so sweet. She brought us to the bottom, to the stairs, let us go under there and pray in some of the rooms. and like that not many people are allowed to pray in, which is like really, really cool.
That was nice. And then on the way back, did you stop in Nashville? Was that separate?
I think that I
saw you play. I saw a video you playing somewhere last week. Where's the last place you played?
It's slipping from my mind. I'll be honest. I do not spend much time in Nashville, to be honest. When I do, it's for Camp Electric. That may have been what you saw.
And what is that? Talk about that.
Oh yeah, Camp Electric is this like really awesome camp. It's a bunch of Christian artists and they're musicians, and like people that like the kids look up to, and they're like guitar players and stuff. And they teach kids like guitar. There's a guitar class. There's a vocal class. There's a bunch of classes for everything. And it's really, I only went as a networking opportunity. It was also a tax write-off, of course, because even as an intern, you have to pay to get into it. And it helped me meet a lot of cool people that just was along the journey and let me do some things. Like I unloaded for the Newsboys one time because one of my friends works for them. He was super sweet to let me just unload all their stuff. I got to look at their drum set and see how because their drum goes up like this, and it spins in midair, and he showed me how all that works, and I got to tear that down. It was pretty cool. But that was through Camp Electric that I got to meet him and stuff and get his number. But yes, it's a really good camp. Anybody that's in music, even if you're not like in the Christian scene, it's good to get in that to meet those people.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything's about connections. You never know where you're going to meet somebody.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about that earlier, so we had Michael Francis. He's a mob guy who came and spoke at a Christian men's conference here, and it was we got announced like the day I started my first podcast, and I got involved in promoting it on the hopes like we might get an interview with him, for the podcast. And as we talked about, all of our focus was like, well, if we get him, it'll get more views on a podcast. It didn't help a ton, but I didn't market it a ton. But that didn't matter because a couple months later, you were following his daughter's podcast.
Yeah, they randomly, I don't know why they followed me back.
Yeah.
But I followed them on Instagram, and then I think it was beginning of December, I saw that they needed an editor. So I was like, I slid up on that super quick. I was not about to lose an opportunity. So I sent them the video we did with them. They ended up taking me in as an editor. So I actually just got done with it before I came in here. I got the description and everything done for that video. They're very nice people. I enjoy working with them. They're very professional, very, very professional.
No, that was neat. And like I say, you never know when you're going to meet and make that connection that leads to the thing that leads to the other thing. And like I said, neither one of us were thinking about that.
Yeah.
And then out of the
I didn't even know he had his daughters had a podcast. I remember you telling me, but it just slipped my mind. I didn't even until I followed him.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's a good head start when your dad's got 1 million viewers or something. But I'm sure they're putting in the work because he's a hard-working dude, man.
Yeah, this one person, I think it was Ethan Oswald, told me one of his mentors told him, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But when you're in front of those people you do know, you better know something.
Yeah.
So,
no, I think that helped that you looked professional and the video looked professional when he was there. And even when you and I talk like that, I'm going to ask him different questions that other people ask him. We're going to be professional. Like you and I were kind of being security and being like, y'all can't come in here and take. And I think he just didn't want to mess around. He appreciated all that. And I'm sure that when that got to his daughters, he's like, oh, these guys knew what they were doing,
Yeah.
And we weren't pretending. Like you and I both had some backstage experience. So we were being grown-ups, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'd be a better interview now than I was then with him because I really, like I said, I just listened to 15 of his interviews. I'm like, nobody asks him this.
They were good questions.
That. Yeah, no, it was a good time. And but it's such a blessing the way it happened for you. So I know that's one factor, but I saw your post the other day and you told me are you packing up your bags and moving to California next week?
Yeah, I'm going to Los Angeles.
That's pretty.
It kind of came out of nowhere.
So what was the spur for it? Were you just thinking, this
it was
is
just
my
one
shot?
of those things, yeah. I knew if I got a lease that I'd probably stay in Columbus for too long, because my dream, I know with my dreams, I'm not going to be able to achieve them unless I'm in a place like that. Columbus has treated me well, right?
Yeah.
And other than social media, growing that, I need to grow that a lot more. But there's the film industry and stuff that's in Los Angeles that I want to get a part of and be a part of. And I was like, in order to take the next step, I have to do it. This is there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You got to do it, And I was like, if I get locked down on a contract with a rent thing, I'm scared that I may never move out of Columbus. So I was like, let's just do it now. And, it was a God thing because it literally got everything done in 2 days. I got the Airbnb. I switched my lessons over to another teacher. And also, had to quit a band, which is really sad about, with Bonfire Orchestra that I played cover band. They're, super sick guys. But but I had to quit that sadly. But my last gig's on the 23rd. But yeah, everything happened in like 2 days. I decided on like a Monday, and then within that next day, everything was already done. So that's how I knew it was like God calling me into that.
Are your premise of going out there? Is it more about film, music, or studio, or all?
Everything.
Everything.
So since I'm doing the podcast, I have an income like while I'm there, because here I have like 4. Over there, I'll have 1 until I build the rest of them.
Yeah.
And just being in a place like that, like there's a lot more people that are more devoted, I guess, because there's people that are devoted here within the music, but it's hard. It's like harder to find, you know. But over there, you can kind of pick them out.
Well, it's sort of like Nashville and the songwriting thing. Like there's 50 guys who are incredibly talented are just playing at a bar.
Yeah, yeah.
And at least you can get to them and have a conversation, or you can run into somebody and be like, I know you're waiting tables, but they'll be like, actually, I'm an actor. And then you can be like, oh, you know, the production side's probably a little easier to get on than the acting side, at least from my experience of talking to people. But like, you got to be where the stuff's happening. And it's really either, unless you're going there or Canada or Atlanta, maybe. Like Atlanta's got a couple big studios, but not at the level that.
Yeah, I just also like I'm a big beach guy. I like the beach, and it's a big place in Los Angeles, so you can do a lot of things. I feel like Nashville's kind of like centered. Same, New York's a little better.
Yeah.
Because like they never sleep. That's like my favorite.
Well,
part.
like California's got everything. Like within 3 hours, you got beach, snow. You can ski and be on the beach on the same day. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And like you know, you may not end your whole life there, but man, like getting to go when you're young or going and taking the shot is just such an admirable thing to do. You know?
It was almost one of those things like it just happened. Like I feel like it wasn't me pushing the buttons to get the Airbnb. It just like it kind of like something took over where it's like I need to do this or else, you know. Right.
Have you started looking for work out there already, or are you just kind of?
I'm gonna. I've already like planned out my weeks. So like the first part will be like editing podcasts and stuff. The last part will be just me going to events. The first week that I'll be there is actually Grammy week, and I'm a part of Grammy U, so I get in certain events for some Grammy parties. And I'm going to a master class, and it's like a party at one of the nighttime before the Grammys, February 1st. So hopefully I can maybe get into the Grammys one day, if one way or another. But
well, especially if you're talking about getting into the business, and like, I mean, I'm sure part of you would love you want to be in a band and have a traveling musician and all that. But like, if you're trying to look for production people, being at the events of the guys setting up tents and setting up the mics and stuff, like talking to them when everybody else is trying to talk to the record label. Yeah, you know, they're going to probably, you can, with your personality, can make some incredible connections, you know?
It's just treating them like human, you know, like they're human. And a lot of people just want things out of people instead of providing value in the first hand, you know?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people just take. They don't give at all. And that's why a lot of people just end up making bad
and a lot
connections.
of the behind the scenes music stuff, or not music, for film production, a lot of that stuff's like, is it union jobs? Is that correct?
I think so, yeah. I'm still new to like all the film stuff. That's why another reason why I'm moving up there, because it's going to force me to learn it, you know.
Yeah, no, I can't think of any person I've told who isn't like, that's awesome, you know, at your age to go do it and give it a shot. Because most of the people when they get older in life, they're like, I could have done this, or
that's what I'm scared of. That's the reason I'm doing it, because I don't want to live 40 years like later and then be with my wife and like, man, I could have done this, and I want to be able to support my wife and not like say no to things that are God's like clearly putting in my life to do. That way I become successful, you know?
Yeah. And then, of course, there's a million people that'll tell you, don't go try it, you know, whatever. And that's usually their own fears kind of.
I have to listen to my own intuition at that point, you know? A lot of people have told me a lot of things, not anything necessarily negative, but just like putting their box on me. Like, I'm not in that box. I've never been in a box since I was born.
So you can be driving out there?
Yeah. Yeah.
How's the drivability from where you're staying to like LA?
It's 27. Oh, you talk about where I'm actually staying?
Yeah, I know how long.
It's actually 20 minutes from downtown. I think it's 30 minutes from like Glendale, which is some of my friends live in the valley, and it's 30 minutes from the beach. So it's kind of central.
So you got a few people out there already?
Yeah.
Nobody's going with you though, right?
No, it's just me. But I have friends up there since I'll be able to Grammy week, the first week, I'll be able to network and make friends. Like the first week I'm there, kind of kick it off with the bang.
Make friends either way, so you know that's awesome. Well, let's go back to a little bit of your origin story. So, when did you start playing first in public at the church? How old were you? Because I remember
12.
Mason telling me he was like 11 or 12 or something real crazy.
Yeah, Yeah, I was 12 when I started playing drums for the church.
By the way, I think I could play drums. The amount of Facebook posts I see from churches asking if anybody can play drums Sunday.
Yeah.
If I could take a week of lessons, that'd probably be a pretty steady gig. I
Yeah.
don't know if you get paid, but that is the number one, in my opinion, the number one church need isn't more parishioners or money or a new chapel. It's drummers.
Yeah,
I
100%.
don't know if it's just that faith drumming is people don't think it's exciting or what.
Yeah, it's very exciting. But sometimes they tell you to be quiet, but
Do they have you? I call it an aquarium. Do they have you
yeah,
behind
sometimes
glass?
yeah, they did. But most of the time they just tell me to be quiet. But like, and when I run sound, I turn everything up, like everything, that way you can hear it. But yeah, I started in church, and that's actually kind of where my my first thing happened for me. I was on a mission trip. I think Josh was having one of his kids, so I had to lead worship for that whole mission trip. And that Wednesday, all of us kids snuck out to go do worship, and that's like when I got saved. And I always tell people, like, I got saved with a guitar in my hands, so I intend on using that to further the gospel and to further change within this world. But
How are you? Have you have a plan for addressing that when you get to the heart of sin and the devil in Los Angeles?
Well,
California?
I actually, people are like super welcoming over there. I spent like a week there for another Grammy event, and then the one day I spent there, I spent a lot of money for one day for the American Idol finale with Colin. We got to go in there, but every time I go there, it's like super nice, and the conversations I've had is like very, very cool. Like even if they don't agree, like they're pretty nice about it and just open about anything. But
He's talking about, is it Amory's own Colin style?
yeah,
Show?
Hatley Amory kind of.
Hatley Amory. So I see him around town all the time now. So.
Yeah. Dude, he's the one that got me my biggest song. Like, I got him in the studio. We met at Munson and Brothers at an open mic. Mason introduced us. I was like, dude, let's write something. So we wrote something, recorded it, and that was my biggest song I've ever had. It's like almost 5 million on Spotify, 4.5, I think.
Oh, there you go.
But so that's my biggest song. But if it weren't for him, that wouldn't have happened. And without him, I wouldn't have been able to be my first time to LA, and that's what made me fall in love with it. I got to get on the set of American Idol. In fact, we thought we had tickets to the set. We get there, me, Mason, his mom, and his brother. They're like, you don't have any tickets. We're like, what? We signed up. And they gave us 4 free pit tickets because Colin's mom came out there and talked him into it. And everybody was there. Jelly Roll, it was TLC, it was Lainey Wilson, Pitbull, which is my favorite. He opened the show up. It was pretty cool. But
he's a showman in the true sense of the word. Like, I've heard Dolly Parton and other people, a lot of country people like that too, where they're professional show people, and a lot of musicians miss that part of it, that you don't feel good, you got to go on. Like, you gotta
he's
act.
also a businessman. I've seen some of his like business advice, and it's straight on. Like,
and that's an interesting part. I think I talked to Mason a little bit when he was on. That's come about, and I grew up with it with both of the Cash Money Millionaires and the No Limit rap guys in New Orleans. Master P was one of the first people in all of modern music to try to own everything laterally. Like, he wanted to own the production, the label, the studio, all that stuff. And one of the first people in country music was Toby Keith to do that. I remember Willie Nelson saying, couldn't care less about Toby Keith, and I remember Willie Nelson in like the late '90s saying, "You got to watch this kid. He got turned down by everybody, and then he just started his own." And he controlled, of the 5 vertical integrations, he controlled like 4 of them. Like, he had his own label, his own production, his own.
Smart. Yeah.
And so he made so much more money than the person who would do it. And that, a lot of that came out of the rap community going, why do I need especially with the internet now, like, why do I need a label, or why do I need it?
Yeah, well, nowadays you need one to get to a certain level, but a lot of times like it's better to go independent because you make all your money like through that, because the record label is going to own all your masters. That's like a lot of your money coming from streams and stuff, which nowadays musicians or artists, they make their money off of touring more than they do streams, because album sales were a lot more money than you could buy a house off a #1 album. Yeah. I'm not sure what you could do now with streaming. It's still good. It's still really good.
Well, and part of that, like Spotify and all that, is that the label's still taking 60-70% of the money. I have some friends in New Orleans that were songwriters back in the day, and they had one big hit, like you said, 2 million copies, and they're still riding off of that high. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And well, can you talk to the kids? And I know you're a kid, but like a lot of the stuff that's gotten you where you are and where you're going to be, and is probably going to help you survive out there, is that you've signed up like for these camps or for the Grammy thing. can you touch on things, those two camp, the electric thing in Nashville and the Grammy camp? Like, do you just look for stuff? Are you always out looking for them? Because I've met plenty of musicians who are focused on their music and then play at Munson Brothers and play at Rick's and play at Munson Brothers and play at Rick's and play at Munson, and they're just not.
Yeah,
they're not in the room meeting people.
It's like people say this all the time. It's 90% business, 10% music, and you have to have that mindset going into it, because if not, like, you're not going to make the connections, and you don't have the momentum if you're not like pushing that business. And I'm not like anywhere near like famous regarding like, you know, followers and stuff, but I've gotten to work with a lot of people, and the reason I met those people is because I put myself out there and did the business of networking. I didn't have any connections when I started out, and a lot of times I would just go to open mic nights and listen to the artists, and if I was inspired, I was like, dude, let's go record something. And back then it was cheap enough where they couldn't say no. But and that would give me a chance to be inspired and continue networking. You just got to like meet people and be honest about your skill, of course, but also provide them value. And that's what a lot of people just misinterpret. It's like they want to just do music. It's like, you can't do that. Like that's a hobby at that point. You got to make money from it. Like, you're not going to, that's why I started studio stuff, because I knew the first like at least 10 years of me being an artist, it would be rough if I didn't have another job. And I'm like, I don't want to do any other job except for music. So I started learning about recording and stuff. And that was that was the business part of it, you know. And I treat that the same with the artistry. Is I treat it like I'm gonna treat it 10 years from now. It's like, it's a business, even though it's small right now. It's gonna be big one day. So might as well like treat it with the same respect as it will be 10 years from now, you know. But
yeah, that goes into a local famous person, Chase McGill, who writes songs up in Nashville. You know, he went up there, he swept the floors, and then, you know, his dad says every time somebody needed help songwriting, he's like, can I help? You know, like he'd be there. He'd be in the room all night long and always writing stuff.
It's just like when I used to play football, and my dad would always tell me to stay next to the coach, because somebody's gonna get hurt. They're gonna grab whoever's next to, and like that's the same thing with this career. You got to be. That's why another reason why I'm moving to Los Angeles. You got to be within arm's reach. If you're not, they'll think about it, and then they'll not ask you because you're in Mississippi.
Well, I mean, also like much like the you know, because I've heard people getting that call like, can you come play this gig tomorrow? And you're like, dude, I can't get out to California tomorrow. Or if you're playing, but I imagine that happens probably on every movie set every day.
Yeah, people don't show up.
The rig
and
didn't
like,
show
hey,
up. The lighter didn't show up, and you're like, yeah, I'm here. I'm right here. I'm free now. And available and ready. You know, being the guy that's ready to go when you need it.
Yeah, I got a call one time on a Friday. I think it was either a Thursday or Friday, but it was at 6:00 that night. My friend's like, hey, we need a drummer for a gig in Kansas City tomorrow night. I'm like, okay. So I didn't cancel it at the meetings I had, but I just put them on Zoom, and ended up switching things over. I went to Kansas City. It was a last minute thing, and if I learned a lot from it, just going to Kansas City. Stayed it for 52 hours because I didn't know any of the music. I met the artist the next day, and I stayed up all night talking to my friend because we hadn't seen each other in a while. And then the whole ride there, I was just listening to the music. And then we did a 4-hour gig that night, and like I learned a lot from that gig, just how to learn things quickly because I forced myself to do it, you know. And that's what a lot of people aren't willing to do. Is like you gotta force yourself to do crazy stuff in order to learn. That's just how I learned is crazy stuff for some reason. Hard-headed.
Well, so when are you leaving? This episode will come out. I guess it'll be up to you, but this episode will come out after.
It'll come out tomorrow.
Yeah, come out. He's like, I'm ready to come out. I mean, here's my sizzle reel from Columbus. We'll put you at the top of the list. So when you were playing here, you know, growing up, what was the transition from church to playing out in public?
It was actually what we were talking about earlier. Mason was, and then I started doing my own stuff, acoustic gigs at Munson's, and then I just started looking for festivals. I was like, there's not a lot of venues in Columbus other than Rick's, and it's kind of hard to get a like actual gig in Rick's unless you're like big. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, festivals are probably the way to go. So my first ever gig was the one where I was in the red shirt that I post videos about. Yeah. It was Caledonia Day. It was my first full band gig. And that's kind of how it transitioned. I was just from the church to Mason to actually doing my own stuff and playing other gigs for other people. But it was only a year ago that I had my own artist full band gig. So can you play everything, or is it guitar, bass, and drums? Guitar, bass, drums, piano, and vocals. But I suck at like, what do you call it? symphony instruments or like orchestra instruments.
Woodwinds, all that strings.
Yeah,
And stuff.
I
You can
cannot
play
think those-
keyboard without reading music?
Yeah, it's
pretty
just by ear. Actually, the reason I could play is because I got grounded from all my instruments except for my piano. And my piano had like a setting on it, so when you hit a certain key, it shows you the chord for that key. That's the only way I know how to play piano because I learned it because I was grounded from all my guitars.
Yeah.
But
Are you able to take, is any of the recording stuff here yours that you're taking with you?
actually, some of it I'm keeping here. There's a recording studio at the Airbnb I'm staying at, and
Really?
yeah, that's why I chose this one because I was like,
Pretty
okay,
awesome.
yeah.
And you get to use it or
Yeah,
sign up for it? Or it's just
so I can just rent it out. And same thing with over there. If I work with an artist, they'll be the ones renting it out. So it's not like I'm losing any money at that
That's
point.
incredible. So it's at your house, at the place?
Yeah, it's like
are you
literally-
like in an apartment or what is it?
It's like it's a hostel. So I'm staying there for 4 months. The only reason I chose a hostel was because of the studio. I was like, look, I need to build something, over there. And if I don't have a studio or at least a home base where I can do things, if somebody texts me they need a piano part or something, I need something. So I was like, okay, this one had a actual studio, a vocal booth, and everything. And so I chose this one, and it was hopefully it's good. I haven't been there yet, so hopefully it's good. But a lot of times the artist will rent it out. So if I need to upgrade or something, I can just go to a different studio. But I just wanted something because I know I got to build the other streams of income again over there. I got to kind of rebuild what I built here. So yeah.
Yeah, I stayed at a hostel in Europe. I picked the wrong one, but that was pre-internet. So
Yeah, yeah. It's I'm nervous about the hostel because, but I did. When I was in college, I stayed with a roommate, so I'm used to like that.
yeah,
But I think there's like 4 people to a room, which is fine. Like for 4 months, I'm just doing it so I can find somebody I can trust reliably.
it's part of the adventure, and you're living in one of the most expensive cities in the world. So
Yeah.
hopefully you won't be home a lot. So
Yeah, no, I won't. I've made that deal with myself as like being out more, exercising, trying to lose weight and stuff. And
yeah, well, again with your personality, you're going to get out and about and see all kind of folks over there.
yeah.
What are your favorite types of music and influence?
I would say blues, rock, and I'd say 10% country. I like
10%?
country, but like it's not like my bread and butter. My bread and butter is like Def Leppard type stuff. Actually, I went before I started playing guitar. I went to a Def Leppard concert, and I don't know if you know, but their drummer is one-handed.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad like whispered in my ear, "Dude, he has one hand. He's in one arm." I was like, "But the guitar player, he's cool." And the first time like they went out, like it was like a huge explosion type thing, and then hit the first guitar chord. And since then, I've been like, guitar is my thing,
Yeah,
So I
I've watched
started
some
learning.
stuff on them playing like since they kind of came back,
Yeah.
and about like they were talking about we got to work out because they're in their 70s probably. They're like we had to work out. We got to.
Yeah.
There's no more drugs backstage or anything.
Yeah, they're
'Cause
very strict on that.
and they're performers at the highest state because you have to be like because. Of course, they have 2 albums that they can just play those 2 albums and you're going to be set. I remember I'm 50 now, so I was 15 in 1989.
Okay,
So like that was peak.
Yeah, the 80s music is my favorite. I'm actually releasing a bunch of stuff in the future this year. It's like 80s type stuff. One of them's called White Boy Groovin'.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be pretty cool. Well, plus you'll get to see it. Like if you want to go to concerts, every band in the world.
Yeah, they play at the Whiskey Go Go, which is in Los Angeles.
Really?
And, yeah, I went there last time, but they weren't playing at that point. But there's another 80s band.
They're huge. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, Whiskey Go Go is like that whole, I think Sunset Boulevard
Yeah.
is like famous for the 80s, like Motley Crue.
Yeah,
I
that's
think,
where
was
they
there.
were. Yeah.
Yeah, we went to the Rainbow Bar afterwards. I'm glad it wasn't a gay bar. I thought it was. I was like, "Man, let's not go." But then they were like,
you do okay. You would do all right. Now you may not want to do all right. But
I was like, my friend was like, "Hey, let's go to this bar. It's called the Rainbow," because the band invited us. We got to talk to them afterwards. I was like, "Is it a gay bar?" I was like, "No," but it was not. It was actually like
you're
the
adorable,
coolest.
so you do okay. So.
It was the coolest bar though.
So yeah, that was the formative music when I was growing up was Def Leppard and Guns N' Roses. I bought Guns N' Roses album when the album came out.
Oh wow.
And it was surprising to a lot of us because a lot of us were like skateboarders, and we thought it was because how popular they were on this kind of the mid-level scene. We thought it was going to be like more skate, punk kind of music.
You used to skate?
What's that? Just a little. I wasn't.
Dude, I suck at skating.
I wasn't amazing, but I had my little Mike McGill skateboard, which is now like an immortal. It's one with a snake coming through the skull. Was that the one? Anyway, I just have a picture of it somewhere. Yeah, back in the day. But it was a good time to be alive when rock music was at. And then I started, as soon as hair music kind of died down, I went more into some of the industrial stuff, and
Yeah.
Nine Inch Nails came out, and then when I was after college, the dude Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails moved to New Orleans, and they used to have shows all the time. He has a record label called Nothing, and he would have a Nothing showcase. So like one of them was him, Nine Inch Nails, and his side project, and Marilyn Manson, and like 3 other bands, and I was like,
cool.
It was our dream. They're playing at like a 400 person place, and it sold out quick and stuff. But we, just like you, I was always going to shows and knowing people. I'm like, this is the favor. This is what I want. You know, get in here, and I can't imagine with cell phones now. Like I don't know if it's easier or harder to get in touch with people, but like
I've had good luck because most of the time, like it's just providing value. Like, do you need help? Is like the one question that has got me in more doors than anything. And it's not necessarily I'm doing that. I just enjoy helping people anyway. But like that's how I've gotten backstage to things. That's how I just like, hey, do you need help? I was like, yeah, I'll help you. And then I just like when I'm done with the job or whatever, I'll just hang out, and then somebody walks by and I meet them, and then it's a cool connection, you know. Yeah.
No, that's what all life about is. No different networking and backstage and music and stuff than anywhere else. And people want somebody who can help and isn't just trying to take from them. I can't imagine in the music business how many people are just, you know, I'll help you, and then 2 seconds later they try to wander off and get in somewhere.
Yeah,
so.
I've done some like quote unquote sketchy stuff. Like at Camp Electric, there was one time I was backstage to help with some of the water, like just revamping some of the water and snacks and stuff. And I stayed back there a little longer than I should have. And somebody said something about it, but I was like still providing value. I was still like I was very, very good at like keeping the water stocked and everything. And I would even like go up to the artist after, hey, you want some water? Hey, and that would start the conversation because I was too nervous to talk to some of them.
Have you been back there? Have you been in any big rock shows backstage, not Christian music?
So this is not really rock, but Kingfish. We opened up for Kingfish, and that was blues. A lot of stuff's around here is country. That's why another reason why I'm trying to move to Los Angeles. A lot of rock stuff, metal over there. And I'll be able to, that's like my vibe, and that's what I enjoy the most. So I'll be able to actually get into those things.
The good part, too, is that you're coming into the last 10 years of a lot of bands like Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses that are touring now and cashing in.
Yeah.
They're not going to last forever. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of neat. Like you might could see AC/DC or those sort of stuff come through. There's a lot of modern rock stuff now that's pretty hard stuff. I think we talked about one time that I was thrilled to death, like in 2007 or 8, probably 7, that I came across like Avenged Sevenfold, because I kind of thought of them as like Guns N' Roses. I'm like, and it's been a little different since the drummer was incredible. I mean, talk about somebody leading a band from the drums, but they're rock. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing. No, they're not progressive. They've done some progressive stuff and some pure metal stuff, but like they're just rock, and they got nicknames and all this goofy stuff. You know, like I like that. Like I love their 4 or 5 albums in the middle of their run. I haven't listened to the recent stuff, but
I feel like the rock stuff, it goes really good live, and that's why you see in the charts sometimes like live music charts is like the rock is the one that's like spending the most money. Like more people are going to that just because it's heavy vibe. But I recently started working with this band like last year called Collective Dust, and they've been gotten pretty good on Instagram follower wise, and they're just like they're very Christian. It's a Christian metal band, so they're very like they're actually Christian. You know, there's some people that say they are in the industry.
Don't talk about Creed that way.
Don't talk about Creed.
Aren't they coming back? You know what I mean? You can't upset anybody. I thought they were coming back and doing shows. I love that band, bro.
Yeah. I hope I get to see them live, but yeah, they that was like my first metal art, project I've ever worked with, and they blew it out of the water with it. Yeah.
And there's Christian metal, right?
That's what they are. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're like Christian. They call it crabcore, which I don't know the difference between all the like cores. I just listen. But I opened up for him a lot. I've opened up for him twice. We released a song together, actually, Rise Up. It's like the most metal song I've ever released, but it's got them screaming on it. It's pretty cool.
Somebody mentioned this on a podcast the other day. Is it 21 Pilots or a band that they're pretty much Christian music, but nobody knows?
But it's not. Yeah, not at all. Like you wouldn't think so, but they are. I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, like there was a while. There was a while after Creed, and I think South Park famously mocked it, where like bands were just becoming.
Yeah.
Like so, you're familiar with South Park, right? Even though it's been 30 years. So the Cartman kid gets 2 of the other guys together, and he just changes the name to like 20 favorite songs to Jesus. So he's like, I want to dance with you, Jesus, on the beach. I want to dance with you all night long. And then he gets signed by a Christian rock band and gets really huge. And all he did was throw Jesus in like 30 different old songs. I'm like, it happened for a while. It may still be happening, but
yeah. And I thought about going into the Christian industry at one point, but I like making blues music, rock music, which can still be like Christian, but kind of like what 21 Pilots does. I like to keep it, because when you say you're a pastor, you say you're a Christian artist or something, a lot of times that wall will be put up and you won't be able to get past it because they just think you're horrible because of past
and
things.
I've read stuff. I mean, there as much abuse as there was from of black artists in the 60s and stuff. There's a ton of like sign here, and you're on Christian rock and you're not making any money, but somebody else is, know, and then you can't kind of leave because you get black. Like you said, if you have a rock band and it doesn't work out or a company screws you over, when you go through 10 years, get through your contract, and then you become Christian music, you're fine. Yeah. But you do the opposite, people are going to be like, well, that's that Christian guy trying to, like when Garth Brooks dressed weird for a couple of years. And what was his alternate personality, Garth Brooks?
I forget. I remember.
It was a big deal when I was a kid because like he, Chris Gaines, that's what he called himself. Yeah. And he did like, played a completely different style of like modern music. And everybody's like, what are you doing? Yeah. You know? I saw my daughter and I went to see Jason Isbell open for him. Who's the Pink Skies guy, the country music guy?
I don't know. I know what Jason Isbell is. No. He wrote Cover Me Up, right?
Yeah. Oh, he's huge.
He's like really good songwriter.
Zach Bryan.
Oh yeah.
So Zach Bryan, I had no idea he was that huge. I never listened to country music really, and I knew like 7 of his songs. We went to the Superdome, and I remember him saying, he's like, I have no idea why Jason Isbell is opening for me.
Yeah, he's a legend, bro.
Yeah, and then Zach put on the 2.5-hour show that blew my socks off. And that's the entertainer part is like, I don't know most of his songs.
But
if I can go to your show, and he was just, no gimmicks. I mean, TV screen behind him, but like I was leaving going, that was just, as somebody who's been to hundreds and hundreds of concerts, like that was just unbelievable.
That sets people apart. That's what I'm trying to like get better at is doing the live performance, like, instead of just playing guitars, like actually putting effort into it, like moving and stuff.
I saw it was about 20 minutes of another documentary, but it was Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden, you know, and he's little bitty. And he was talking about how you have to stand on the thing and be as big as you can.
Yeah,
that. That's what I don't know about his music, but he blew up since the Ozzy Osbourne thing. Youngblood. Yeah. So, like, he is a showman.
Oh, 100%.
And he's confident. His social media, I stole some of his social media stuff. He does a day in the life of thing like that I've done a couple times. And that's all it is. He's like, woke up this morning, went in here. And of course, his might be slightly more interesting than me feeding my dogs. But that's how I felt. I was like, man, this dude's a young guy. He seems talented and he's consistent. And he's same thing. He met Ozzy and didn't try to use him for something, was just gracious. And it was well documented. It was before Ozzy got really sick. And he was just gracious about him and just said whatever. And anything I can ever do for you, Bo. And he played at his concert. And then like, just like with the mobster guy, 9 months later, Ozzy gets sick, and in the last show, they just remembered, and they're like, hey, why don't you do this? And he's like, well, can I sing this song? And he sung the biggest song, and everything was lined up right for him, you know?
That's like a lot of the mindset you have to have just in this industry, is because a lot of people are trying to use a lot of the big artists, is just treat them like people and be family with them. Like that's how the music industry is. It's just one big family. Everybody knows everybody. And if you end up like being rude or like being just a horrible person, you're just going to get sort of blackballed, you know.
Yeah, especially the bigger you get, the more they're like, this person's a pain.
Yeah, and you can like, instead of like, hey, can I get your autograph? You know, it's like more, hey, what's up, man? What's your next project you're working on? Like, actually talk to them, because everybody, they don't treat them like humans sometimes. Like, if you get to a certain level, it's just kind of weird how people treat. It's very creepy how people treat them.
Well, like people I know, and I know some people like in personal growth that a lot of people won't know, but like John Acuff and Brian Buffini, some other people I've met personally, hung out with. I don't say I know somebody like, so I walked up. So like 5 years ago, Gary Vee would have remembered me. Now he probably wouldn't. But like the John Acuffs, who's as big as he is, but in personal growth, like I can call him. Like I can call him with some notice. I'm like, can I call you in a minute and ask him? And he signed a book for Yakov last year. And cool. Like, but I mean, the same thing. The first time I met him in a conference, he was literally waiting in line, and it was a pizza conference, but he was a motivational speaker, so nobody knew who he was there. It was for Papa John's Pizza. And so like I just talked to him. I said, I appreciate your book. He grew up with Dave Ramsey.
And
writing books. His blog was Things Christians Like. and it was like goofy things that Christian people in churches love and that sort of stuff. And he went into personal growth, and I just talked to him. He's like, hey, anything I can do for you? I'm like, what am I going to do with an autograph? I was like, do you want to hang out later? And then we hung out later, and then he's like, seriously, man, is there anything I can do? I'm like, dude, I got this guy I work with who loves your stuff. If another day down the road you want to call him or something, here's my number. And he's like, let's call him right now. We called him and got him, and he did that, and then he remembered that, and then I wrote him a thank you note, and then, I've seen him once every 5 years for 25 years.
Okay, yeah.
But like when his last book came out, I'm like, dude, congratulations. Where's the best place to buy it? And he's called me. He's like, dude, don't buy the book. I'm like, seriously, where's the best place to buy it? And then he sent it, and like my dog ate the Amazon package, and I sent it to him, and then he retweeted it, and he got 500,000 likes, or something crazy, and I got 1,000 more Twitter followers,
Yeah.
And but it's funny because you can get to people if you're sincere. Like, don't act like you care, actually care. You can really
because I remember it was Mason that kind of taught me this. Was Megadeth's drummer, one of their old drummers, was at a B-list celebrity party that we were at, like a golf tournament with Steve Azar. And I was like about to walk up to him, and then Mason just does it. He just shakes his hands, like treats him. But I was nervous. This is my first time really being around somebody like that. And when I saw him, dude, I was like, okay, just be normal.
Yeah, we had they had it was weird because somebody else canceled, and their fill-in became Brett Michaels from Poison, and then Everclear, which is one of my favorite bands from the early '90s, and they're still doing well. And I saw the Everclear guys because I was with the Air Force, like VIP guys, and I'm like, dude, they're like, hey man, whatever. They're like, the other person was like, the line starts here. I'm like, I don't need their autograph. I was like, man, y'all played the day the album came out, their big Sparkling Fade, their big album. Like, y'all played at the Mushroom in New Orleans, and he's like, was that like a tiki bar place? I'm like, yeah, it was like a tiki bar place. Y'all played there like 2 PM, then you played there. And he's like, you were the guy riding the bike. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, for all the drugs and memories and stuff like that, that's all I thought. I'm like, he's like, yeah, because one of the other guys said, you were the one. Like, he remembered that nobody was there. And there were only 3 people. And I'm like, yeah, I stayed on my bike the whole time. He's like, dear God. It was funny because it was important to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then when they went on, like, Chris Jenkins took a famous photo. And because I had that connection with them, the bass player followed me. Chris Jenkins, a photographer for the W. Chris Jenkins took a wonderful photo with him, and then that guy liked the picture and shared it on Facebook.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm thinking, like, again, what led to what to what to what?
Yeah,
I went to that show because it was a radio remote, talked to him then, mentioned it when I had the one chance to see him, instead of being like, can you sign this? Like, what am I going to do with Everclear's autograph? You know? And instead of asking or begging for him, it was just talked about a memory, and they were seriously remembered it. And then I'm like, I was like, the bass guy was the one I talked to the most. I'm like, I was like, I'm going to send you something. My friend's taking pictures now. He's like, send them to me. And then he follows him, and then he gets exposure, and like, it's just wonderful,
Yeah.
And then next time they're nearby, I'm sure we could tweet them and be like, hey, you want to, I don't know about hang out, but can I say hi? Because cool
funny
folks.
story was we were at the same golf tournament thing, and we took a group picture with Megadeth's drummer, and there was this old guy next to me. And I might put the picture up. I'll put the picture up for the podcast. But I was like, who is this guy next to me? I thought it was like one of the sound guys. And later, like months later, I showed my dad the picture. And it was the guy, I think it was the second actor of Home Improvement. It wasn't Tim Allen, but it was the other guy that was like a part of the shop with him. He was just sitting right here. And like we took a picture together. I didn't know who he was. I thought he was a sound guy. But it ended up being him. My dad was like, what? Why? How did you not know that? I was like, I don't watch that show.
That happens to me a lot. We were talking out there with Josh and some other people about if you give respect and not deference to people. So like I grew up in news business here, and I'd meet people and I'd be like, they're like, they wouldn't go like, I'm so-and-so. They'd be like, hey, I'm this. I'm like, all right. Like that. And the musician, if it's a musician or something, man, I appreciate your time. Like that.
Yeah.
Just like with the mob guy. Like we didn't have the interview for the mob guy, Michael, until right then. And I got in a car with him, and he's like, all right, this guy's not going to be a jerk. And I'm like, I'm not trying to make money off of it. I just think they want to ask you some of the stuff I just asked you. So you never know. And you've got a good skill set for that, man. I think it's going to pay you off big time when you're there. You're willing to work to earn it. And if anybody wants to support you, do you have Patreon or anything like that? How do they get in touch with you to buy your stuff?
Okay, yeah. So it's Instagram, Brayden Sansing Music. Same with TikTok and everything. Just give me a follow. Just listen to my music and just follow my journey. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm sure you can tag all that since you're going to be the one editing this, but definitely by next Thursday so you can get it. So thanks for coming on, man. I'm sorry we had to rush it, but if you're leaving, I got to get you now before you forget the little people. So thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.